how to finish writing that book. You're going to love this. In this episode, Tracy Roesch Williams shares with us how she finished writing that book that she'd been working on for 15 years and she was 25 chapters in.
Sounds good.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Excited about having you. And we've got a special treat. Tracy Roesch Williams, hailing all the way from Anchorage, Alaska. She is an executive business coach, consultant, and a writer. And we want to dive in about her journey into writing and what has that been like for her writing. I think it's 2 books now. And Tracy, I would love for you to share with the audience some of the things that prompted you to start writing that first book, and what was it about?
Well, thank you, Miles. Thanks for having me on your show today. So my first book was prompted. It's called Vision Journal by Alaska Tracy. And I was just telling Miles before we got started that is my girlfriend's daughter who was up from New York visiting. And that's a photo in Homer, Alaska, of her walking on water. Not really, but she's walking on the Homer Spit, it's called. Okay. And so this book was inspired, and it's a journal. This is my copy. So you can see I've done quite a bit of fun stuff in here. It's got doodles. This was inspired through my consulting coaching business, which I focus, and you can find it on Amazon. I focus on vision mapping. Okay. And vision mapping is essentially sexy words for creating a detailed plan.
Okay.
To get real results.
Okay.
And so I wanted to have something that I could use at my workshops, when I'm speaking, when I'm doing retreats. And so that's where and that's pretty much where this gets used a lot, is when I'm teaching or coaching.
Okay.
And so it's a self-guided.
Okay. So is it more, so you said self-guided, so it's a self-guided study, or is it like a book you just sit down and read, or is it a workbook? What
it is a self-guided, creating your vision map. Okay. With meditation. So it's a self-guided vision mapping journal.
Okay. Okay. And how long had you been doing the vision mapping before you started writing a book, or did you write the book first and start doing the vision mapping? How did that work?
I think I've been doing the vision mapping for a couple of years. And then the graphic designer that I have as a contractor, we talked about a book, and she really was instrumental in putting this all together for me.
Okay.
So I knew a bit about it, and but I didn't know what I know now after writing Eddie's Journey book, because I did that one, and it's a book, it's a story.
Okay.
So this came to be Eddie's Journey, and you can find that on Amazon, or you can go to Alaska Tracy /Alaska Eddie W to find this. So Eddie is under my feet right now. He's almost 15 now. He's a rescue dog. And I started writing the book about 10 years ago. And it's really a book about abandonment and learning to trust and love.
Okay.
And Eddie has a story. We had an animal communicator, which is really kind of funny, but throughout Eddie's life, the things that this animal communicator told us about his previous families, people in our community told us what this communicator told us. Like, it was just really interesting. So it's a book, if you're a dog lover, you want to read it, it's Eddie's. It's from it's like he's telling the story.
Okay. That's cool.
Hey, do me a favor and like and subscribe to my channel.
And so that 10-year story came to life just recently. I mean,
it came to life. And I used the vision mapping process. And this is for anybody who wants to write a book. This is a little bit how the vision mapping works. What I've learned through the process is I've self-published both books. A publisher, if you want to go the publishing route, a publisher is looking for a standard book, which is anywhere from 50 to 70,000 words.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they feel gets in the hands of buyers.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you take 50,000 words, let's say you want to write a book, it's on your list of things to do. And then you divide the 50,000 words into, let's say, 8 months.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say you break it into 4 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that? That's what?
I'm not a math major.
All right.
I
So
need a
let's go.
calculator.
Okay, 4 weeks times 8 months is 32 weeks. 32 weeks at what, 4 days a week?
Yeah.
So would that be 32 times 4? Yeah, 32 times 4, 128 days.
Okay.
And those that are math geniuses are probably going, that's not right. So take 50,000 and divide it by 128 days, or however many days you're going to write.
Mm-hmm.
That comes up with 390 words per day that you need to write. When you break it down into those simple, like that simple outline,
Uh-huh.
you can do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very manageable. I mean, it's really amazing that, when you look at things, and this kind of goes back into both of us being involved in coaching, is when you're trying to get people to make progress, and whether it's writing a book or whether it's starting a business or you're starting a nonprofit, is taking the small steps and figuring out, okay, what are the small steps that I can take? And when you break it down to that bite size of 390 words, most men could come up with that much, because women have a lot more words in their head, but us men, we have a minimal amount, and we can all come up with that, and that makes it, sound really simple and manageable, and something that anybody could accomplish if they set their mind to it.
Right.
So when you started, let's go back to the first book. All right. If you were to compare it to writing the vision mapping book compared to Eddie's journey, those are two different types of books. Is the process still the same, or how different was it?
The process is a little bit the same. I learned a lot about publishing, doing Eddie's journal, and formatting, and how to put it into his words. Like, are we going to use present tense? Are we going to use now? And in the end, I hired a coach. Mm-hmm. She was a book coach, and I met her through it was one of those speed networking sites.
Okay. Yeah. Yep.
She was amazing, because we had a conversation and I told her that this was in the works. And then she kept in touch with me and sort of just prodded me along. And then I said, this is silly. I'm sitting on like 25 chapters, and I'm ready for it to be done. Mm-hmm. And so I hired her. And in the end, it was, I said to her, I'm going to check in with you every single day for the next week and get this thing done. Mm-hmm. And that's what I did. And that's always been, that's why I'm a coach. Oh, there's a movie.
Are you enjoying this? I hope so. If you want to learn more about Tracy and I, look in the description below to see how you can connect with us on social media or sign up for a complimentary coaching call.
Just walking by. Do you see it?
I saw something.
Oh my gosh. This is so funny, because this rarely happens. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's what it's like living in the Alaskan wilderness. Huh?
Miles, it's got a baby. It's a brand new baby.
I see it from here.
Okay. Not very much up here right now, because we have bears everywhere, and it's a newborn moose.
Oh, wow.
So there's a lot of energy happening.
Okay. Yeah.
But I've been waiting to see her, because we usually see her. So hope, and then we always pray. The whole neighborhood always is like, hopefully the baby will make it.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, that was so cool. I could
That's
see the
amazing.
legs in that, right?
Yeah, I could see something moving in the background. So yeah, I thought that was kind of curious.
Oh,
Uh,
that's fun. When you, so for all of you, when Miles, when you go back into this, would you see if you can get some snapshots of her?
okay, I will.
Oh,
Sure.
that's so cute. Oh, what a gift. I got God bumps. So back to the book. I think it's really important when you're starting out, because so many people say, I want to write a book,
Yeah.
to ask yourself the very first question, why?
Mm.
What purpose is this going to serve? Who's it going to serve? I took a publishing workshop with Hay House,
hmm
and there were so many people in the group that were going to write memoirs or stories about themselves. And I loved it. Reed Tracy, who was great, he was like, the bottom line is most people don't want to read about, like, most people don't care about you. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
like, what is your why? What is your purpose?
hmm
My purpose for the journal was to create a quick, easy way for people to sort of dabble with the vision mapping process on
hmm
their own
hmm
and to use it in workshops.
Yeah.
The Eddie book was to really inspire people to trust and
Mm.
love, and people with
hmm
abandonment issues. And gave it to a friend last night, and he said, oh, now I'm going to want a rescue dog. You
Yeah.
know, I'm like, well, that's some of the proceeds go to a rescue organization.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well, that's
yeah.
cool. That's cool. One of the things that I've discovered and continued to experience, at least, especially in the coaching world, or anytime you want to build a brand, for yourself, and brand yourself, especially. Writing a book is a great way to do that. And I've been part of 2 different coaching masterminds in the past year and a half, where, been in groups where we discuss that, talk about that, have someone come in and give you some pointers, advice, and things about how to do that. And you talked about writing, when you break it down to the small increments of 30, 390 words a day or whatever it might be, your goal is, how much, when you went into that process, there's some other thoughts related to that as well. If you go look at Tim Ferriss, talks about the 4-hour work week, and he talks about, finding that space where you can focus and commit a certain amount of time to it. There's the deep work philosophy, where you block out a certain amount of time in your day where you got your best hours for yourself. It's different for everyone. And you're saying, okay, for this hour, for this 2-hour block, for this increment of time, I'm going to invest in writing my book. How much of a practice like that did you use for yourself?
I love teaching that stuff, like
Uh-huh.
time blocking. And personally, I'm really good about giving myself a deadline,
Uh-huh.
being accountable to somebody,
Okay.
which I'm so much better when I have a coach.
Yeah.
And then doing it. Like, I remember it was in the end, I remember emailing this book coach and saying, I wrote a sentence today. That's it. And it was at 10 o'clock at night. She's like, you wrote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's being accountable to somebody to get it done. And then
Yeah.
at the end, I was like, oh my gosh, there's still so much more that I want to say. And she said, be done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, be done.
Yeah.
And then when I took the course and I realized that my book was shorter than 50,000 words, I was like, oh no, it's not, it's blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, just get it out, get it published.
Mm-hmm.
And then, at the end, there's the graphics for the cover, there's the layout, there's the editing. So those are all things you want to keep in mind for costs.
Mm-hmm.
And if you go through a publishing company, you can you can guarantee that they're going to charge you, if they want to pick up your book, they're going to charge you anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000 to $12,000 to publish your book.
Okay.
On your own, probably $5,000.
Okay.
And I used Fiverr. I
Okay.
used Fiverr.
Yeah. Fiverr or Upwork. You can either one of those good.
Or Upwork. And I hired a graphic person from there and somebody to format the book.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. I know for myself, we were both in the same coaching program that we did together. And when Kathy asked about writing a chapter for that coaching book, I volunteered to do that. And so it did help in that process to have a deadline. And she had really stringent deadlines and strict criteria, I felt like at times, but that's her personality, as you know.
Right.
And so I met all those criteria and got it in. So what's really been frustrating is she hasn't really followed through on her part on the back end of the editing, publishing, and all that kind of stuff. So for me, that was a great learning experience because actually I never had, well, yes. Is there a book in me? Yes, there might be one or two or maybe more. I don't know. But I didn't start that process until a former colleague of mine said, you need to go do this, and this is why. And she gave me some good reasoning. She knew what I was trying to do as far as my coaching, but I also have a lot of experience working internationally, working with especially Asian multinational organizations, leaders, and things of that nature, and using that experience. And that's just another way too. I'm wanting to brand myself, so I'm using that right now. Once that gets put out, at least I can share my contribution to it, but also realize I need to go back and I have a chapter. Now I need to make a book out of it. So if someone has started and they're like me and got to that point, what do we need to do next?
Ask yourself what's the why?
Mm-hmm.
Who's it going to help? How much am I going to write? Like, start it with the end date. When do I want to get this book done, and then go backwards?
Mm-hmm.
And then am I going to self-publish? Am I going to look for a publisher? Where am I going to get the funds to do the end part?
Okay.
And I'm a big believer of having somebody to be accountable to.
Mm-hmm.
That's really in everything in life. That's the way I succeed, is when I'm accountable. Not to my husband either. Like, I've had so many people say, oh, well, my husband or my wife. And I'm like, somebody that's not vested in you, that can kind of call you out on,
Yeah, call you out on your shit.
Right, exactly.
You're
right?
bullshitting me right now. So.
Right. My husband will say, why didn't you pay me? I've told you the exact same thing. And I'm like, yeah, I don't listen to, like, I'm not gonna, but it just really helps. Like, I'm involved in a coaching class right now, and we have small groups, and me and another gal met up today and we coached each other. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm on fire again. I've got tasks to do. Like, I'm, and I think she is too. And that's the way it works. And it's so hard to explain that, but it's the we concept. We talked about that, her and I bringing the we back, like, I don't know.
Well, that's what's so true about this. I mean, I know we're talking about writing a book, but at the same time, those same principles transfer over. It doesn't matter whether a person is writing a book, whether they're starting a business, starting their nonprofit, trying to advance in their career. Anytime you go into a coaching relationship about anything, there's always other things that come up. And a good example of that is I had a client reach out who wanted to start coaching to start their nonprofit, and they kind of backed out at the last minute. And so I followed up a couple of weeks, probably a week after, and they backed out. They couldn't figure out some things, and basically they're trying to figure out their bylaws and want me to do them, and I wasn't part of the
Right.
program. And that was something they can do. I mean, honestly, you just copy this stuff, get the PDFs offline, copy it, and change the wording for yourself. It's not
Right.
that difficult. And I followed up with the individual, and they hadn't made any progress. They haven't done anything. And basically they said, they had some major situations happen in life. Well, they've had this dream and vision for a long time, and it's never happened for them because they keep having the same certain things happen. Family issue, kids issues, all yada, yada, you just name it. We all deal with it. And 9 times out of 10, we let it sidetrack us to keep us from reaching our goal. And I just said, that's why you need a coach. That's why you need me to coach you through this process, because it will help you get over that hump. And the same thing happens just like you experienced in writing a book. If you experience barriers or times when it's difficult to write, you have a coach or somebody there that can help you work through those things. And maybe all it is, like you just example you used, I wrote a sentence today. Well, guess what? Damn, if you didn't move ahead by writing a sentence.
Right. And it's back to the why.
Mm-hmm.
And the why has to be greater than and oftentimes it has to be painful. Somebody's in a painful place that they're ready to make. And I can't convince somebody to be in that place.
Mm-hmm.
I can't. All I can do is share with them about moving forward and what is and ask questions to get them thinking. And for me, the end point was, well, Eddie's almost 15. Like, okay, get it done now. Like, okay, let's do this. Let's finish it.
Okay.
Yes.
What would be your final advice you would give to someone who has that book in them? Maybe they've been like you and they've written a bunch already and they put it down. What's your advice to them?
Hire a coach.
Hire a coach.
Yeah, find a coach, either Miles, myself, a book coach. When I started in business almost 23 years ago, I went to the Small Business Development Center, and that at the time here in Anchorage was free because it's through the university. Well, we pay taxes for it, but find somebody outside of your home, outside of your somebody that's not vested in you, that can help you, that has experience doing it, that can help you complete it.
Oh, cool. Well, cool. Well, thank you so much for joining me, and thank you for so much the wonderful information and advice you've given everyone about writing a book. And hopefully there'll be some people that will write their first book, or maybe they'll go to their second or third one from listening to this episode.
Thank you, Miles. Thank you, everybody, for joining in today.
I hope you've enjoyed this. I am Miles Street, and I help for-profit and nonprofit leaders who want to dominate more in their work and life. If you've enjoyed this episode, I think you'll enjoy this one up here on resiliency, an interview I had with Travis Crutcher, and it will help you as you start thinking about getting through writing that book, or getting your business started, or taking your nonprofit to the next level. Also, I have a second episode I'd recommend to you. It is on lifelong learning and help you grow and develop yourself as you want to improve in your leadership. Thank you.